Happy Monday to everyone. This is John McEntyre Show live prime time. I'm John McEntyre, and today is Monday, September the 23rd, 2024. So we are stepping along in this month, and just as a reminder, before the end of the month, it is National Life Insurance Month. So for those out there, we're getting a lot of calls and contacts about um, life insurance. And so it's just a reminder. I'm going to say it every day until the month is over, and then we go into the next month, and it will be a new month. So hope everyone had a good weekend. I know I did. It actually got hot, surprisingly hot in the area. I don't think a lot of people was expecting it, but it happened. And so here we are. Going to share, the routine. We're going to share some wallet wins. We're going to cover a very interesting topic that was shared came across Andrea's desk, and she brought it to my attention. And it really is a very interesting topic that I'm quite sure 99.999% of the population don't think about it until maybe it happens. And so this is going to be a good one. So let's get into these wallet wins here. The first wallet win I started contributing to my retirement account. I'm behind, but better late than never. You're exactly right. And we celebrate you whether you started late or whatever. You've started. You've started the process. And so that means you know how important it is. So every little bit counts. Some people, they beat themselves up. They say, I'm in my mid to late 50s and I'm just now starting a retirement account. Okay, well, that's fine. You just have to be a little bit more aggressive than you would have had to have been back in your late 20s, early 30s. But you did start, so everything's fine. And it can still be worked with. There's always strategies that can be put in place to help you along. Yes, you did miss a few decades of compound interest, um, but you have to do the best you can to make it up, because now you have to do what you have to do to prepare for retirement. Because as I've done on shows before, the seasons of wealth. You're pretty much you're pre-retirement going into retirement, and you're closer to retirement age, uh, and so you have to do what you have to do for the season that you're in. All right. So wallet win number two, I paid cash for our 30th anniversary trip to Israel. Yes, you saved a lot of cash. That's a huge wallet win. That's a lot of win. 30 years marriage. So congratulations on that. Don't see that much anymore. Um, 30 years of being married, and then actually paying cash for a trip to Israel. Um, I know a lot of people that have been there. That's on the bucket list for us to go to Israel, and so I know that it is not cheap. Um, it can be a very expensive trip, because most people, when they go, it's not for a couple of days. It's like a couple of weeks to a month, and everyone is went. They was like, it was expensive, but it was worth it. So I have a lot of friends that done what the in the Bible, Paul uh, of the New Testament, his missionary journey trip by the Bible. There's a couple of tours that you can take following that entire journey and his missionary journey. And everyone that has went on it, they've been very impressed. Then they say, and I have to get back to work to get my savings account beef back up. So, yeah, there you go. But that is a big wallet win. I celebrate that. Third wallet win, I got off of government assistance, and I paid a deposit, my first month deposit on apartment for me and my son. Yeah, that's a huge wallet win. Yeah, that's worthy of. I wish I had the sound machine where I could hit the clapping, do the clapping and cheering, the whole 9 yards. I should get one of those air horns. What's one of my favorite podcasts? They use an air horn on there when they're celebrating. Yeah, but yeah, I don't want to disturb people. Yeah, we won't do that one. But we do celebrate it. So there we go. Three good wallet wins. Um, Starting a retirement account, paid cash for a 30th anniversary trip to Israel, and got off government assistance and paid a 1 month deposit for an apartment for me and my son. Yep, 3 big wallet wins. All right. So before I move forward, don't forget to share your wallet wins. Hashtag wallet wins. Share your questions, uppercase Q. We look forward to them, and we want to celebrate them more on air, even more. So if we ended up doing 30 minutes of wallet win celebration, fine by me, and some questions, that would be fine by me, because that's what we want to do, is celebrate, because it's those small wins that add up to the big win. Uh, there's actually a book I've read. I'm going to share it, talking about that taking those small actions on a daily basis or towards a goal is actually more effective than actually achieving something like in a big way. Um, and I'll be sharing that pretty soon here. So that's why we share wallet wins here. All right, let's get into this topic. Um, Basically, what happened, I did a show a few weeks ago about identity fraud, identity theft, and it was pretty popular. It triggered some conversations. So it came to Andrea's attention, someone that actually had it happen to one of their children, and that was very rare, mainly because uh, in some cultures, in some neighborhoods, you really don't get credit and everything until you're a certain age, till you actually start working and you start to establish your credit. But in some other neighborhoods, you can have credit as early as 7. Utilities may be in the child's name, things like that. And we're not going to go any further than that, but it has happened a lot, more than I care to talk about. Um, but most people don't realize that children there is a way of having a credit report before 18, actually having credit. And usually how it happens is through fraud. Identity theft is normally when it really happens. And so most people, they don't think about it that way. Or, well, let me back up. Or like if you open up a bank account in the child's name, or you make them where they can actually like maybe use your credit card. You've added them to your credit card, things like that. That can actually process of them building credit starts there. They're actually reported to the bureaus, the credit bureaus, and so, or credit reporting agencies. So those would have, mainly the ways. But the identity theft is like the one that's it's almost taken. It takes a while to actually catch it, because most people just don't think about their children, identity being stolen. But in today's time, it's easier than you would think. Just like an adult, um, phones, computers, them online shopping, things like that. And most children today, they use a computer just as much as an adult, especially in school. Like Bella, all of her, ever since she's pretty much started school. Well, the early elementary days, first, second, third, fourth grade up. Ever since the fourth grade, now that I'm thinking about it, ever since the fourth grade, she has been using a computer, a Chromebook, mainly a Chromebook. And then when she's at home, she switches over to her laptop. And so those are two outside of the phone and tablets and iPads, things like that. Um, you have to stay on top of the fact that they're using technology on a constant basis, logging in, using their passwords for things like this. And so moving in between all of these I'll just say gadgets for lack of a better term. But now it's become more common. It used to be much harder to get a child's identity, to steal their identity. But now in this technology age, and from now on, we're pretty much going to have to get used to staying on top of their identity as well as our own. Because I have a few statistics here. About 1 in 50 children have their identity stolen each year. So that's a lot, because there's a lot of kids. few tens of millions of children, 1 in 50. That's a lot of identity theft, just as big as adults. And so, as a matter of fact, between July 2021, July 2022, 915,000 children were victims of identity theft in the United States. And children under the age of 7 are the most likely victims. So that is alarming. That is extremely alarming. And it really is something to think about, uh, because I'm like, okay, at first I couldn't wrap my mind around it. I was like, okay, so how, children under 7? But then I thought they're on phones and they're carrying iPads and tablets and laptops, computers, just as much as everyone else. And they can be just as more careless also. First thing grab their attention, they set it down. If they're in a coffee shop with the parents, or they're at a bookstore or something like that, or in the mall or whatever, it's probably easier to get theirs than it would be an adult. Because if they see something that grabs their attention, usually the first thing they do is throw their phone or tablet, drop it, and walk away. And so, the scammers out there, they don't care. They could care less about the age or whatever. They're just looking for ways to scam and to steal identities. And so it really is something, to really stay on top of now. And so you would ask, okay, so what do I do in that particular situation? The same thing you would do with an adult. If you think identity theft has happened, you could do a credit freeze. If they do have identity, they do have credit reporting, you can do an identity freeze, a credit freeze, just like you would do with yourself. And I just have to say it up front, it's more tedious. It's actually more tedious, because as an adult, is you're doing the reporting for yourself. When it comes to doing it for a child, you have to prove that you can make decisions for this child or children. So that means you have to prove you are who you are, they are who they are, and that you make decisions for them. So it's a few extra levels and a little bit more time, a few extra actions you have to take. But it can be done, and it's well worth it. It's just something that has to be done. And you have to report, just like an adult. You have to report to the 3 credit agencies, and each one individually. And to do this, where the tedious part comes in is on the front side, where you're having to prove things. So you have to have documentation, and the documentation usually starts out with you being the adult, government issued ID. Usually, the driver's license, maybe a passport, or another personal ID, state ID, something like that, social security card. Birth certificates. You have to have birth certificates for the child, which shows you have the authority to act on behalf of the child. That can also be foster care certification, power of attorney, or court order. So now you know why you want to have these documents on hand, just in case something happens. And I mentioned social security card. Your social security card, you have to prove your identity. Your child's social security card, to prove theirs. Then on top of that, you have to have proof of address. And that's usually the utility bill, insurance statements, bank statements, cell phone statements, things like that. Something to prove you both live at that address, and that you are, you can make decisions. You have authority over this child, and you can make decisions for them. So that's where it can get actually tedious. So that should trigger you to get all of those documents in place right now. So then what you have to do, you have to make copies, 3 copies of everything, because you're going to send it to the 3 different agencies, because you're not going to send originals. Today's time, it used to be a time where you would have to do everything by the mail. Now you can do it by email. And so you make the 3 copies, make sure everything is scanned in a certain order. that because each one that you send it to, when you go to that, you would go to the website of each reporting agency, and it would tell you how you would do it. You would just look for child identity theft protection. You click on that, and then it would like walk you through. And as I looked at all three of them, they want a certain cover letter to be the first page of each email, and they want it done in a certain way, because this is going to take it's going to take time anyway. Uh, this is going to be like I say, that's also on the backside. It's going to be about 10 to 15 days maybe before they get to look at everything. Whereas if it was just you go on there, click, 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 prove who you are, click, click, click. The next day is frozen, click is unfrozen. But with children, it takes a little bit more time, and they want it they want the documentation. They want this particular form to be the actual front page. So when they open up, they will know this is actually a child identity theft uh, reporting. And so you would do it that way. And that's pretty much what you would do. It would just it is a lot. It is tedious. Like I said, it is tedious, which is to say, again, to stress why you would want to make sure you protect your children's identity like you protect your own. Because see, um, the scammers, they can get to you through the kids. The kids may suffer because they're really after you, and it was just easier to just get to you through the kids. Maybe their laptop or phone, something like that, was able to get the information, because most of the time when a child has a phone, it was the parent that set it up. And so they set up, the passwords and all of this type of stuff. And maybe there's some things on the phone that they have on their phone, maybe some apps and things. So what you can do is just like I said before, with all of your technology, passwords, strong passwords, number one, not a lot of personal information, applications, open apps, apps are left over or easy to access, things like that would protect your hardware. I say the hardware, your phones and computers and tablets and iPads, things like that. So that's what you would do. Because if you don't, you see what you would have to go through of actually doing these reports and freezing the actual credit reporting, each one. And the good thing about it, once it's frozen, keep it in mind to you can like leave that frozen, because they're not going to be doing anything anyway credit wise. You just have to remember, once they get a certain age, to unfreeze it or unfreeze it, in time, if you're going to like open investment accounts with them, things like that. You just have to remember to unfreeze it, because so as you can see, there's a lot of work on the front side. So now you understand. I understand now that kids' identity, how it can actually be stolen now. And now you should be able to understand how it can actually be stolen, and why it's very important now to put that. We're doing a lot as parents, and adults. We're doing a lot. This is just one more thing, but it is extremely important to take care of. So that being said, that takes us into the question of the day, which is, have you taken the steps? Have you checked your child or children's credit just to see if anything's there? Uh, they may not have anything. They may not have anything that's been reported to that particular reporting agency, but it doesn't hurt to check. I'd rather be proactive than have to react to a lot of fraud that has happened out there. So that is the question of the day. Have you checked your child or children's credit? All right. So that being said, I hope that I gave some useful information. And if I did, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to Facebook, like, share it with others, tell others about it, share your wallet wins, share share your questions. Now, you don't want to share your credit with people. And make sure to tune in tomorrow, same time, same channels. Have a good evening.